This version of the Dallas Cowboys Report is made possible by LinkedIn Talent Solutions. Get a free posting of your job at linkedin.com/NFL daily. They run on the largest network for LinkedIn does, Get a free posting at linkedin.com/NFL daily. We'll tell you all about them later on in today's show. But it is a roster projection time. Let's go to the quarterbacks, and I'll put in where they sit with each of their statuses, by the way. I took 3 quarterbacks, and I was not sure on that, and I felt bad carrying 3 because I'd rather it be 2. It helps me at running back and tight end. I did go the Cowboys way out, go with 3 here. Dak's a lock. At least one of Cooper Rush and Will Grier are going to make it, but they are on the bubble right now. I went back and forth a lot. How many QBs would the Cowboys carry? I don't know if you get them to the practice squad, and that's what I came down to. In the end, I went, who are you more likely to stash on the practice squad? And I didn't go with the quarterbacks in the end. So predict for me, how many QBs will the Cowboys carry? It's at least 2, and it's no more than 3. So 2 or 3. Let me know in the comment section. As a result, I went light at running back, and this pained me dearly because Malik Davis was the last player I cut. And I would not be surprised at all if he made the roster. I could see Dallas going with 4 backs, but I think Rico Dowdle will make it. There's more special teams value for now for Davis. And remember, guys, Malik Davis was an undrafted free agent. Nobody wanted him from Florida. I think if you cut him, you can get him onto your practice squad. Do not forget that. In the end, I went with Zeke and Pollard. Those guys are obvious roster locks. And Dowdle over Davis. But do not rule out, in the end, Malik Davis at all. I promise you that. Let's go to receiver. And I'm cheating all over the place here. All right. We'll come back to Michael Gallup later. But CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, and now KaVontae Turpin, roster locks. I believe Noah Brown is safe. You will start week 1 after the initial cuts with James Washington on IR. He will be carried through the first stage of cuts. The next day, placed on IR, sign back a veteran like Jake McQuaid, for example, who is not subject to waivers. We'll come back to Houston Fehoko. In the meantime, Michael Gallup. He's a lock, and I do not think he will begin the year on PUP. That has been the Cowboys' goal all along. Avoid the reserve PUP list. He's on the active PUP list right now. If he goes on reserve, he must miss at least 4 games. I think Dallas is thinking back by week 3. So we'll see on Gallup, but having to carry him on the active roster, it ends up meaning that you have to go thin somewhere else because Turpin's mainly a special teamer. Brown can be your receiver 3/4. I went with both Houston and Fehoko, and that came over running backs as well. Back to the 7 receivers I'm carrying because one's hurt and one will mainly help on special teams in the end. Fehoko and Houston, I both have making it. That does, by the way, mean there is no TJ Vasher. We'll do practice squad at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that one. Now, I want you guys to predict the Cowboys' record for me in 2022. How many games is this team going to win and lose? Regular season only. It's the pinned comment on today's show. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk tight ends now. 2 locks, Dalton Schultz and Jake Ferguson. I almost put Sean McKeon on the bubble, and I almost picked Peyton Hendershot. He and Malik Davis were my last 2 cuts. But again, UDFAs, I think you can get them through to your practice squad without that much anxiety. I really thought about 4 tight ends because you had no fullbacks on your roster, but you had to go deep at wide receiver. You have to go deeper at some defensive end spots. It's all dicey in the end. Keep an eye on the 2 guys I had the most regret leaving off, Hendershot and Malik Davis, but, Schultz and Ferguson, we all make a team. By the way, I do think Ferguson is officially tight end 2 for this team. Offensive line, cheating again a little bit here. First up, Tyron Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Zack Martin, Terence Steele, Connor McGovern are all roster locks at this point. Matt Farniok, I think, is safe Not necessarily a full-fledged roster lock, but I would be surprised if he got cut. Josh Ball's on the bubble. Matt Waletzko, much like James Washington, will be put on IR after day one, so you cut somebody else, a veteran, maybe like Noah Brown even. You cut him for a day, bring him back. He's going to go through waivers. Waletzko will begin the year in the end on IR. I did not project it, but I think Outside Edition makes a lot of sense because with that version, you've got 8 offensive linemen, thinner than what Dallas normally goes, but I was unimpressed by Braylon Jones in week 2. Eamon Simon, Avion Collins. If you're going to put those guys on the roster, sign an actual truly good veteran. That is the route I would go for the Cowboys. I don't think they have the right backup offensive tackle right now. I would be totally down to sign someone like Eric Fisher, even if that means cutting Josh Ball in the end. I want to sign a new offensive tackle. I want to hire the right guy there, and you should hire the right guy for your small business. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you want to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. I'll make note, by the way, one of our latest hires here, Matthew, the second Matthew we've actually hired, found us on LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn, and so should you. It's linkedin.com/NFL Daily for all your job hiring needs. A free job post when you use that URL. It's in the comments section and in the description of today's show. Let's move to defense now. In general, it's normally 25-25. I went one heavier at defense, which I think I might regret when it's all said and done. But 3 locks: DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, and Sam Williams. Dante Fowler, I think, is safe-ish. Same with Chauncey Golston, because Golston can play inside and out. Unfortunately, I did cut Terrell Basham, which hurt me. He could be a trade chip. I'm not going to project trade. I could see him being dealt. Big Cat Bryant Mikatafua also cut in the end off my Cowboys roster projection. So we're talking defense right now. And I think I know the answer from you guys, but I still want to ask it. Which side of the ball will be better? Type in O for the offense or type in D for the defense. Sound off for me. Which unit will be better for the Cowboys in 2022? Defensive tackle, I went 5 deep. 2 locks, Osa and Neville Gallimore. I'm going to label Quinton Bohanna as safe. I think he's going to be the team. I would be shocked if he did not. That leaves several bubble guys: Tristan Hill, John Ridgeway, and Carlos Watkins. Ridgeway was the draft pick, 5th round this year. Dallas tries to find ways to get those guys on the team. I could see him, by the way, as a potential fake injury IR. He's been playing, but he's been a bit banged up, so maybe try to stash him for a year. But I think they want the toughness and the run stopping on the interior. I was surprised Watkins didn't get cut, but Tristan Hill's been good in the preseason, and the talent's been there. It's been consistency being out there, etc. So I'm going to go with Tristan Hill over Carlos Watkins. I think when it's all said and done, at least one of these 3 players ends up getting cut from this Cowboys team. Who is it? Pick one to cut. TH for Tristan Hill, CW for Carlos Watkins, or JR for John Ridgeway. You got to cut one. Who is it? Sound off for me in the comments section right now with who you end up letting go. Let's talk linebackers here. Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, Anthony Barr, and Jabril Cox are all roster locks. I believe Damone Clark will begin the year on the NFI list, so we'll label him, but he does not make the actual roster. I am the end with Devin Harper over Luke Gifford and Malik Jefferson and others. Remember, you'll play Parsons all over the field. You got 3 guys you feel you can start in LVE, Barr, and Cox. Harper was the draft pick. That gets him the edge, for me at least, over Luke Gifford, who you can stash in the practice squad. And, oh, by the way, you can still promote, same rules as last year, with the practice squad situation. Also, I'll make note, I didn't put it on there, but Devontae Bond's on IR for the year. We'll talk about Story Jackson, others in the practice squad section of today's video. The Cowboys have roster cuts due. They will make a bunch of moves throughout the week, the days leading up to final cuts. We will break them down. Hit that big red button and subscribe right now, youtube.com/CowboysTV, for free Cowboys videos all year long. Nobody has you covered better than us here at the Dallas Cowboys Report. Let's talk now other corners for the Cowboys. I've got 3 locks: Trayvon Diggs, Anthony Brown, and Jordan Lewis. I put Kelvin Joseph and Deron Bland as safe. I would not consider, especially Joseph, a lock. And I put Nahshon Wright on the bubble. In the end, it came down to Nahshon Wright and CJ Goodwin. And I went younger and draft pick. And maybe Bones Fossil would get mad at me, but I picked Wright over CJ Goodwin. So when it comes to Nahshon Wright, do you want him to make the roster? Type in M for make or type in C for cut. Sound off for me right now in the comments section. Safety time now. This was tough for me. Jaron Kearse, Malik Hooker, congrats. Those guys are locks. Donovan Wilson, probably closer to lock than like bubble, but I'll put him safe for now. Same with Mukwamu and Marquise Bell. I think these are your 5 safeties, although I wouldn't rule out, in the end, when it's all said and done, Tyler Coyle necessarily. The final 3 spots, specialists. Brian Anger, Jake McQuaid, they're making this team. Brett Maher, I don't know who the kicker is going to be. I have no idea. Is it Maher? Is it Haralahu? Maybe it's somebody not on your roster right now. I'll give the leg to Maher. The leg to Maher because he's got the leg. And this Cowboys team and John Fossil seem to really want a strong leg at kicker. So of the cuts that I made, the players I cut, which one did you dislike the most? For me, it was Malik Davis, Hendershot, CJ Goodwin, and Luke Gifford. But I want to hear from you. Which player that I cut did you hate the most? Let me know in the comments section as we break down the projected practice squad for Dallas. All right, offensive guys first. I'll throw the nooch on there because, that's how it goes. I do think, by the way, if you cut guys like Malik Davis, like TJ Vasher, like Peyton Hendershot, it is not that hard to get them to your practice squad. I would be surprised if any of them got claimed. It's a gamble, sure, but I think you can get them on there. Brandon Smith is, I think, the next best receiver over Roberson and Dontario Drummond. Offensive line, I'll go 1 outside, 1 inside. Avion Collins, Braylon Jones. Isaac Alarcon, by the way, will continue to count if you make him to the practice squad as an international player pathway program until further notice. So he's a freebie on your 16-man practice squad in the end. Let's go to the rest of the defense side of the ball now. Heavy here. Terrell Basham and Carlos Watkins could go elsewhere for sure. They could also end up being, trade chips, but I'll put them on there for now. It's more fun that way. Mika Tafua, Big Cat Bryant, 2 guys I like at defensive end. They're young. 2 linebackers, I went with Luke Gifford and Story Jackson. Gifford is a prime, along with CJ Goodwin, if he does make the team. Cut him and then bring him back in the end. And then I put Isaac Taylor Stewart and Tyler Coyle as the remaining options for myself at defensive back. The one thing I want this year, fewer penalties. And I do think it is at least partially a coaching problem. Let's buoy the Cowboys into fewer flags. Type flags for me right now in the comments section.